everyone, let's just sit down and get on the same page, and I can take constructive criticism and listen and take different perspectives of people and go, oh, okay, yeah, we've just lost our last two matches, but what do we do to adjust? And we were able to make that adjustment, and then we were lucky enough to go on, and I think we won that event.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Down Under Paintball. This is episode 20, and this week we are sitting down with the other half of the Simpson combo, Carl Simpson. Hope everyone enjoyed the footage that Ben put together last week. If you haven't checked that out, it's on the Down Under Paintball YouTube page or the Down Under Paintball Facebook page as well. So Carl's done the same thing again for me this week. So we're going to have a video to go along with this episode. So if you want to check that out, it'll be releasing Saturday on YouTube, Sunday on Facebook. We continue the story this week with Carl. We talk about how he got into the sport and moved through into forming Envious, and then where they went on past that with Perth Crisis, Raw, and then back to Perth Crisis again. Again, I just want to say a massive shout out to my supporters, the patrons over on Patreon. If you want to support the show directly, you can do that. Just search out patreon.com/DU Paintball. Okay, everybody, we're going to jump straight into this episode of Down Under Paintball.
Okay, I need to find paintball again.
If that's the kind of commitment you're going to give, then that's the kind of commitment I want. So I'm sticking.
You're listening to Down Under Paintball.
I mean, everybody on that team was a veteran. Everybody.
This is Will McDonald, and you're listening to Down Under Paintball.
It does make it a more interesting sport for the masses.
They are doing it better than anyone else, to be honest.
Yeah, show other women that might be interested in playing that, hey, you can go out there and you can be successful in this sport.
It's best. I've got the best seat in the house with some of the best paintball in Australia.
And you're listening to Down Under Paintball.
I don't enter into the politics. I'm not interested. I'm just trying to, grow the sport, get more people playing paintball.
I'm sitting down this week with the other half of the Simpson duo. It's Carl Simpson. How's it going?
G'day, Scotty. Good to speak to you.
Yeah, no, it's good to catch up. How's life treating you at the moment?
Yeah, it's really good, mate. We've been pretty blessed with everything that's been happening. We've managed to be pretty isolated from job losses and everything that a lot of other people in the community here have been suffering. So we're doing really well.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Most importantly, paintball's back on. Have you been out on the field yet?
I have not yet. Yeah, they were out playing yesterday. There was a bunch of the guys out playing a 10-man event, I think it was. So yeah, it's good to see that things are back on deck. Yeah, I wasn't able to make it out. My wife Gloria, she's had a couple of surgeries lately, so I've been daddy daycaring here at home for the last little bit. Once all that's straightened out, we'll be able to get back out and get into it.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. Oh, well, all the best for Gloria. I hope she's doing all right. And
yeah, she's good. Yeah. She's a trooper.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, as everyone would know, last week I spoke to your brother Ben, and this week I thought we'd get as he put it, the Dorito perspective of things.
Yep.
So why don't
the dependable side.
Yeah,
the Doritos, the dependable side.
Yeah, that's it. The a bit more slow and thought out, methodical.
Yep, it's different, little bit different style of play down there, but together it all puts the teamwork together.
Yeah, so why don't we hear your point of view? How did it all start for you? How did you get into the sport?
So we started quite late with. I think Ben told you we went out and had a day of paintball when we were probably around 18 to 20 or somewhere around there, and had a blast like everyone does. I think we probably spent $1,000 or something crazy on the day, and ended up looking at getting into it, but it was just a bit too financially constraint at that age with the guns. I think we were about $5,000 for guns and that sort of stuff. So we ended up going away and got into go-karting and some other sports. We were pretty heavy on water skiing and snowboarding and all those sort of things at the time. So was about 10 years later. I think we were 28, and we went and played again. Ben wasn't so keen on getting heavily involved, but I was pretty hooked. I spoke to Ian and Ian Tressida and looked at the Sup Air sort of play, and I just went 1 week and then 2 and then 3, and it wasn't long. It was only 3 or 4 weeks in, and there Ben was. He wasn't wanting to fall behind and me be able to have a sport or something that when he came out that he'd get his butt kicked. So that rivalry's driven us through most of our lives together, and paintball, happened to get a paintball.
Were you doing any of those other sports competitively, like water skiing or go-karting?
We had a couple of competition races at go-karting. We never really sort of launched into it. Again, it was just a ridiculously expensive sport to get into. So we both had go-karts, but to compete regularly, it's a couple $100 for a set of tires, fuel, repairs. You can get into events. So events are sort of spread all around. You'd be out at Lithgow or up the coast, or there'd always be stuff. So we did a few of those, but didn't really take it much further than that. Skiing, we've been skiing since we're probably 10, water skiing since we're probably 10 years old. So just social level, but we're got pretty experienced at that, and would do that every weekend in the summer and partway through the winter even. And same with snowboarding. There were years where we would go and we'd spend one weekend down the Hawkesbury River water skiing, and then spend the next weekend we'd go snow skiing and go and camp down at Sawpit Pit in the snow, and then for the weekend, and then drive back, and the following weekend be on the river again. So we're always into doing that sort of stuff.
Yeah, but obviously it sounds like paintball was the thing that sort of sparked that competitive fire in you guys.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know what was different about it. Maybe it was the paintball's a pretty fun and interesting sport. You have to have obviously physical attributes, but there's also a massive mental side of it, and I think that as you progress up the ranks, it just more so becomes the mental side of it as opposed to the actual physical game. Everyone's got roughly the same sort of skills. It's really comes down to how you work as a team, manage stress, problem solve. I think that's really what got myself addicted to it. I got into a little bit of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu a couple of years ago as well, and that's a very similar thing. So maybe it's that it's just problem solving, working out problems, creating problems for the other team or the other person faster than they can solve them, and then trying to do the same to you, create a problem that you have to solve, and whoever can solve it the fastest and create problems for the other team the quickest is going to win.
Yeah, no, it is one of those like all those like mixed martial arts and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's a thinking man's sport. Like as much as they don't look like the smartest people on the planet, they are. There's a lot of thought that goes into that, and the same as paintball. But I guess they're sort of two different ends. Like one's a team sport, and the other's a individual, which has its ups and downs. When as long as the rest of your team's on the same wavelength.
Yeah, and that's the big thing that was sort of Ben went through with how we progressed with up through semi-pro, and then jumping on with SWAT and playing pro with SWAT, and eventually going through, and we got 3 championships in a row with yourself and a couple of the other guys, and that's something that took a lot of time and effort and sitting down and exactly that, getting people aligned together to think about what do we have to do as a team, what do we have to do as individuals to be able to improve and develop and have everyone on that same page. We sat down back in the SWAT days. You were there also, and everyone sat down. It's okay. What do we want to achieve? How do we want to achieve it? And it's about taking criticism, and criticism is not a bad thing. Criticism is actually a good thing, and even conflict can be a very good thing if it's done correctly and if it's productive. And it's a matter of sitting down next to your peers and to be able to close our mouth and open our ears, and if someone says this is what happened, or this is what, from my perspective, you could have done to improve that situation, in losses and in wins. So that's one of the big things I find with paintball or watching people play is they'll do things, and you'll think, oh gosh, they could have done something so much better or so much faster or more efficiently, and they'll still win the point or they'll win that scenario. And it's very hard then to break through to someone and say, look, I know you won that, but look, this is how you could actually improve that and do better. It's sort of a funny sport like that. Anyone can shoot anyone on the day, and paintballs do weird things in the air. So, everyone has a different perspective on what happens when you're on the field and you see certain things, or you feel certain things. You may not actually even be able to see what's happening. You'll just feel guns on you, and the door may be wide open, but it just feels like it's not, or you feel like you can go and there's people waiting there. And it's good to have that outside perspective and be able to then take constructive criticism based upon that to improve yourself and your team. And you've got to have everyone sitting on the same page and buy into that whole team objective. You can't have people with different with different goals. You don't, if everyone wants to go out and if we want to win a tournament or if we want to win a match, are we trying to win the match or are we trying to win every point? Like, you need to sit down and actually all be aligned on what's the actual outcome here and how do we achieve it. So we were able to, we did that initially with SWAT, and then when we formed MBS, that was the first thing that we did. Everyone sat down. We had all these great players that we got together and sat down and made sure, all right, this is why we're doing it, and this is what we want to achieve, and this is how we're going to do it. And everyone has to be able to essentially be a player, a coach, a critic, and a fan of everyone on the team.
Yeah, that's cool. And like with MBS, you guys, like we've brought it up a few times on the show, but everyone on that team wanted to be there, and you guys all consciously sorted that team out. So there would have been like a lot of like when you bring up criticism and stuff, to be able to take criticism from someone, you obviously have to respect them. So there would have been a lot of respect for each other on that team. So it would have been like it sounds like it would have been the perfect environment to criticize each other. Like if someone said something, it's constructive. They're not just saying because they don't respect you.
Yeah, exactly that. And it in the end it got to the point where things didn't even really have to be said. If say I had made a move and hadn't checked something off and died silly, or over battled, or I did something like that, I'd walk in and someone might start to say, oh, hey, watch this, or just wait for that. We would already, that person would already be, yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, I stuffed up. I put everyone on that team is happy and big enough to be able to put their hand up and say, yes, I made a mistake. And that's the first thing that everyone needs to be able to do, to be able to get better. If you can't recognize there's a problem, then you can't fix it. And everyone on that team was able to do that. And ultimately we were able to essentially run without having a captain. Ben took the role of the official role of captain. He's got a fantastic sort of management style, and just dealing and managing the sort of more official stuff. Or that's if we've got to speak
signing
to the refs or signing score sheets. But okay, there's an incident happen on the field, and we need a representative. We played to people's attributes on that. He was extremely level-headed in those situations, and he explicitly understands the rules and what they mean and how they can be interpreted, and he was able to always think very quickly on his feet and manage and negotiate those situations. So that was sort of the captaincy role. But as we're going to call this play, we're going to do this and that, it was a collaborative effort between everyone. No one was shut down, or we're not going to do this because you don't have enough experience. Everyone on the team has plenty of experiences. Everyone was able to do that role, and everyone's input was embraced and given equal weight.
Yeah, and you guys ran with the same. It was 6, yeah. It was 6 on the team. Is that right? I think.
Yeah. So we had we had the core 4 that we have now. Ben, Johnny, Jared, and myself. Jared actually came on after the second year. Prior to that, we had Jake, Macca, and Nick Bancroft also. We had a couple of people jump in here and there to bolster our roster when we've needed. But sort of from that core group, yeah, we've kept it basically with that core group.
I've always sort of found that that's been I've noticed in teams that have just that core group, and that they do play the same spots over and over again, that they sort of, the 2 guys work together on the snake side, the 2 Dorito guys work together, and you might have a conversation between points quickly between sides, and then other than that, it's just like, your spots, your roles, and you just keep rolling with it. It's whereas teams that are constantly changing rosters or swapping players around, or injecting imports, or injecting other just not their normal core, seem to struggle because they have to have these big conversations. Like it's almost like they're learning how to play with each other.
There's that aspect. I think the ideal number is 7. In my opinion, the ideal number is 7. And ideally, you have the primary 5 that play. And the reasoning behind that is that there's so many matches through a tournament, and you need all of those matches to get field experience, to get the layout experience. So if you've got 5 guys that are just going point after point after point, by the time it comes finals, you've had so many points playing in those spots, you just automatically know what's happening and what to do in that position. Where if you've got a bigger roster and you're rotating guys in and out, and it might be like, even even from a perspective of some teams might have guys who they're in quotes like weak players or newer players. Like, okay, we'll put that player on a match that is going to be a bit easier for us. That I think detracts from the core team that's there playing that event. They need those matches even to be able to get experience or for morale and motivation. There's if you're in the starting lineup and you're just playing the top teams, or you're just playing all of the big teams, you've got the experience and you've got the ability to do that, but there's also stress management. You need to sort of decompress, and that's where some of those other matches where there's teams that are coming up into the division, if your top players don't get to play those matches, then they never get that time to sort of have fun and decompress. So it's maybe just a little bit of a different way, that we think about it compared to some other teams.
Yeah, and well, it's good you say that, because I've been on teams where that is like the mentality of like, I'll put the FNG. Like he'll come in and all the like you say, quote unquote, like easy games, but or we're up 3 points, so we'll whack him in. But I've always felt like you hit a point, you're like, okay, well, he's won those points, like when do we put him in the starting line and who do we take out? Whereas if so you do get to a point where you are better off just having your starting line and running them more often and having people play roles instead. Like maybe a guy's better at just being impactful through the center, and that's like he comes in to do that. But then I guess it makes it easy for a coach if that's if that guy's on the field, that's what he's going to do. So it's tricky, but I guess like that's the game of paintball.
There's pros and cons of that, and again that comes down to that sit down before well before the first buzzer's gone and the first paintballs are fired off at the tournament. At the start of the season, even it's sitting down with everyone and saying, okay, this is our objective and this is our goal and this is how we're going to get there. And ultimately, no one cares, no one remembers at the end of the season who played this point or that point. They just remember who won the series, who won the season. Even the individual tournaments go into oblivion. If you get more game time or less game time, what really counts is who's got the jewelry at the end of the year.
Oh, that's something I've always said. A few times I've sat whole finals. Obviously I wasn't up to par on the day, and people are like, oh, how does that make you feel? And it's like, it doesn't bother, because if anything, I'm lucky I got to sit in the pits, watch my team win, and then I got a trophy. So well, you said like MVS sat down. Like, would you let us know like some of the things that you guys decided as a team? Like what were MVS, like what were like some things that the team like had as goals?
Obviously, to begin with the roster we had, we were realistic. Like, we've got a good shot when we first formed the team. We've still got a good shot, even though it's a brand new team, of taking the series or placing extremely high. So, without trying to be sort of cocky or overconfident, we wanted to make sure that we went in there with that mentality of, we can win this. You can always win this. And for everyone just to say, okay, if I'm not getting it done, then have faith in the other guys on the team. There's enough depth in this team that we can overcome any situation. And I mean, plenty of times we've gone down 3 points to 0 and come back and won 4-3, or we've gone down in points 2-on-4, 2-on-5, and being able to come back and still win the point. And that's just everyone trusting in the guys there and not thinking, oh gosh, if I do something wrong, well, everyone's going to jump on me. It's like, well, if everyone is open to criticism, they already know by the time they got back to the pits, yeah, damn it, I should have done that better, or I should have done this, I should have dove there. So essentially that's really the biggest takeaway. We don't want to, we didn't want to hear in the pits, yeah, but I did, hey, Barry, why did you do this? Or not, it wouldn't even be that. It'd be like, hey, Barry, at that point, I want you to go. Like, you should be going at that point. Yeah, but if we start hearing yeah, buts, that person's not hearing from the outside perspective, because it's one of those sports where you're on the inside, you're playing, you can only see what you can see. There's from the outside, it's a completely different perspective, and from the other player's perspective, from the opposition's perspective, it's a completely different scenario that's happening. So you have to be open to listening to your teammates and trusting what they say, and be able to look across and believe in them. Like, I don't have to push this right now because I have faith in everyone else on this team.
Yeah, no, I like that, because there is heaps of times where guys they it's like one or the other. They make a big move because they feel like they have to prove something, or they don't make a big move because they think, oh, if I do this, I'm going to get shot. Whereas, like, in your heart that this is the right move to make, and if you trust in your teammates and trust in everything, then you just know if this is the right move to make, then I'm going to do it. So it's good.
Yeah.
It's almost like stress-free paintball.
Like flashy moves, you can't push them. If the window's open, it's open, and then you can take it. But it's very hard to push big flashy moves. It really comes down to the opposition opening that window for you. If the window's open, you need to take it, and that also comes with experience and time. You need to try and force the door open and learn, okay, what can I get away with? Can I get through that gap, or am I going to get clipped? And you only know where the limit is by pushing it. But over time, with enough experience, then yeah, you need to just, okay, the door's shut. I need to trust that my team is someone else. They're holding me down. So, okay, if I'm being pinned down by 2 guns or 3 guns, guess where those guns aren't? Well, I look across and Ben's powering down the snake. Excellent, go get him. And then he'll make those moves. I don't have to get into a 50-50 gunfight with someone. Someone's all the guns all of a sudden now switch to him. Oh, excellent. Okay, now it's easy. Without having to risk your life, that's working as a team, and then trusting in the guys behind you to, okay, this guy's stopping me. Hey, Jared. Hey, Johnny, can you put this guy in for me? Can you just shoot this guy in the center so I can get dominance again, or so I can move, or if you're the back guy, what's stopping you? That came from Ian. That came from Ian Tressida. We were playing a Victorian event. It was the last event at Flash's Field.
Yeah. Was that with Neil Martin? Was that event where Neil sort of played?
Yeah. Neil Martin. We get the knock on the tap on the shoulder. I think it was on the Sunday morning. One of your players is on the roof of your car. think he's up there with the can.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really, really fun event. That was a really fun event. But yeah, that came from that. It's like I was standing in somewhere like a 40 yard can, and Ian's over the top of me with his gun just powering away. What's stopping you? Oh, nothing. What am I doing here? I'm sitting here trying to have a gunfight with someone. Just get down the field. Just go. Nothing's stopping me. Or as time progressed and you're playing more of the finals matches. What's stopping you? Oh, the Santa 50. The Santa 50 is stopping me. Let's work together. Okay. Let's work together and start progressing down the field. I don't have to shoot him out. I don't have to kill him, but I just need to control him. That's probably one of the biggest things I see with newer guys coming along. We all go and buy a new gun, and it's all exciting and flashy, and everyone just wants to shoot their gun. But paintball is not a game about shooting people. It's really, like, you don't win a match. You don't get points for shooting people. Well, actually, in sevens you sort of do, but I mean, you win the match by hitting the buzzer, pressing the buzzer.
Oh yeah.
And
I get to see that a lot up in the booth.
Yeah. I mean, why are we sitting there shooting people? And I think, I mean, even when we go to training, everyone wants to shoot the other people, and we train. If we're doing scrims, with people train like that, like, let's go and we'll scrim and we're going to shoot everyone. It's like, no, I just have to get to the buzzer. I'd actually like to see more people. I remember doing it when we were learning, when we were beginning, is just go out there without your gun or turn it off. And when you don't have the distraction of trying to shoot someone or use your gun, then what else have you got other than your brain? You just, okay, I'll start talking. I'll talk more. I'll start to read the field, and okay, I can really just move around here and no one can see me. I've got so much freedom, really. But when you're focused on shooting your gun, you don't see or appreciate any of that. That's one thing that I think we did when we were really trying to learn the sport. That coaches like Ian and Adam and yourself really impressed upon us.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite drills. I was just thinking about that. I was out at the training session with some of the SWAT boys just a little bit before COVID, and we did that. I sat in the corner with my gun, and it was 5-on-1, and I said, you guys have to come get me, and no one else had a gun. And from the start, it was taking them 4 or 5 minutes to come get me, and in the end, like, it was 30 seconds, and they could come and tag me. Like, that's how quick you can get up the field without a gun. Like, it's and that's all it was. It's what's stopping you. There's only one gun. So as soon as I look away, you should be moving. And as soon as it's back to like children's games of, like, red light, green light sort of thing. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I think the biggest distraction is everyone gets into the sport, and it's fun. It's fun to be sitting there shooting your gun, and it's exciting. But there's just getting in there and learning how to move and learn how to control the field just through position, being able to aggressively move and then slowing down and playing safe paintball in your bunker, because you've already done the damage. We all know, we all hear it, like snake 50, like, oh shit, okay. Now I've got to watch that guy. And it just being that thorn in their side, he can keep his head down the whole match and not shoot a paintball, but he's actually won the match for the team because he's just been that thorn in the side. There was years ago when Bad Company came out. was back in the 7-man days. We were playing with Bitchin. I think it would have been our first year playing still, because it was with Bitchin, and there was a route I was able to take and basically get to the Dorito 50, and there was two massive towers sitting on the Dorito 50 right on the sideline, and there was one little gap that you had to get through, and as soon as you put them in, you could go. And we were able to win that match, and I didn't really gunfight anyone. I pretty much just went there and stood there. My gun skills were nowhere near where those guys were, but just that thorn in the side allowed the rest of the team to go to work and just pick everyone off. And that's the big thing. It's about just taking those spots and taking those spots aggressively, but then play very, very safe.
So what do you reckon was the best thing that taught you how to do that?
I think that drill that you just said. So going out there without guns, or playing lots of 2-on-5s or 1-on-3s, or those sort of things. So just it lets you start to move around and get around the field without if I'm in a team of 3 against one person, well, okay, I don't have to have the stress of I'm going to get run down, or I'm going to this or that to happen. I can just start to physically move around the field without being pressed into my bunker. I can sit back, I can ghost off the bunkers and sit in big dead zones and just get an appreciation of, all right, there's actually a lot more field, a lot more places that I can sit or stand extremely safely without risk of being shot. And it actually puts a whole lot of pressure on the other team. That just being able to cut off. If you take out one side of their field, you take out the Dorito side, and you can push up to the Dorito 50. Boom. The center 50. You've cut them into a quarter of the field. They can't get back out. But you have to know. You got to be confident and know how to move around it. Probably another thing that developed that was building fields. So being the early the early worm the early bird that gets to the field, and it's not set up. So all right, we're building it. We're going to play the field that we want today, and go out there. And if you start building fields, you're going to learn very, very quickly how fields play. What's a good field? What's a good field to play? What's a fun field to play? What's a fast field? What's a slow field? And that I think was one of the other big things doing early on, because when we started, we would be out there, first guys there, last guys to leave. So we'd be setting the field up and we'd be pulling it down.
And that's when you say setting field up as well, like you mean like you guys weren't working off a plan or anything, you were just sort of making it up as you go? Literally go and make a field up. All right, let's blow up the bunkers. We'll just start blowing them up, just drag them out and put them down. All right, I want to set it here today and see. Okay, we're going to make it a bit harder to be able to go and drive through these lanes, or we're going to make it so that it's easy to get to the primaries. But then you got to really work together as a team to be able to bridge that big gap. If you're actually building that field, well, it makes you start. You have to think about it, and then just the more you do that, I think the better you get at understanding fields. And then when it comes time for a tournament, you walk out there. You don't have to go and play a field point after point after point in practice to understand it. That's always going to help, but if you know how to read a field because you've built lots and lots and lots of them, then you're that one step ahead of everyone else that hasn't done that, and they're just relying on, okay, let's go and play point, and then
come tournament time, the teams change. We get all imports come and guys from overseas and or from the other side of the country, and hang on, this field plays completely different to how it's played in practice because there's different people playing on it. But if you've spent your time just learn how to read the field and not just play it against a certain subset of players. I think that's something to develop.
Well, that's I could be I've seen so many paintball tournaments. Sometimes they do roll in, and I get them muddled up. But I'm pretty sure it was round one. Yeah, they had the big wedges, and you guys on Friday and Saturday just sort of had that field locked down. You and Ben able to get up and just sit in the two wedges and just shut whole sides of the field off. Like, did you guys?
Yes, that field
get a lot of practice?
So that field
we.
I think we had played a couple of practice matches on it, but like I said, then you're playing against maybe two teams, and it might not even be the actual teams you face. You might play against locally down here. You might play against SWAT, but it's not going to be the SWAT that turns up on the day because they're going to have other guys come in. They're WA guys and anyone else that they'd rather have on the roster. So they are going to play the field differently. And with that, we went our first two matches. We were getting smashed. We lost our first two matches, and it was like, okay, hang on, let's just sit down and what do we have to change here? The change was, okay, we need to push up to the middle and identify that and that. And so very quickly we were able to identify. I mean, it took two matches, but we were able to identify. If we can control these two bunkers, then it doesn't matter what happens. We'll pretty much win the match. And I mean, against Marauders, I think we went down 2 bodies on 5, but we were able to make those bunkers. Ben was able to get into that 50, that center 50, and I was able to get into the Dorito 50. And even 2 on 5, if you listen to the webcast, the commentators are saying, the Marauders may as well still just blow the towel on this because they couldn't get out of their primaries. They're just not able to get out of it. And 5 on 3, we were still able to win that point, even though the Marauders had fantastic break shooting in that. But we wouldn't have been able to do that without having the experience of, all right, what's going on here? We need to adjust. We need to do something. I think that's probably it's always fun when you're winning, but it's what you do. It's what you do when you in adversity that really defines your team. You can start to see lots of teams get frustrated and blow up in those situations, but that's going back to that. Okay, everyone, let's just sit down and get on the same page, and I can take constructive criticism and listen and take different perspectives of people and go, okay, yeah, we just lost our last 2 matches, but what do we do to adjust? And we were able to make that adjustment, and then we were lucky enough to go on, and I think we won that event. It all sort of comes back to that. You got to be able to read the field, you got to be able to do this, but then again, you got to be able to take that criticism and different perspectives and to make the adjustments so that the team does better.
Yeah, well, that's it's something that that brings up a few things, because I remember that wedge, that it is a time when you need that discipline, because you see a lot of players, they make all that work, they get set up in those spots, and then they go, I need to go kill someone. So they take off from the center 50, and they just maybe trade, maybe throw their body away, but if they just sit there, then they've won the point. And being able to identify that, and that's where I think, coming back to a point you made on earlier, something that I think a lot of people need to get in their heads is that, yeah, when you win, like, you don't need that person patting you on the back saying, yeah, you won. Like, sometimes you do need the person to say, hey, man, you got lucky. Like, you run that another 10 times and I guarantee it won't work. Like, that, what you just did. And that's when I think, like, yeah, you can't always just be looking at results to how well you play.
And that's, that's what I really love more about the X-Ball sort of format as opposed to the 7-man format, is because of that. Because of anything can happen. Paintballs can go around corners. Anyone can win a match against anyone. But once you start playing point after point, back to back to back, the better team is going to rise to the top. The team that has worked out the field, or the team that can adjust faster. Back to that, creating problems for the other team and being able to solve their problems faster than them. We came along back in the day. I mean, it's 12 years or something we've been playing now. So I think we were quite lucky when we did start playing, because we did get to experience 7-man, semi-automatic 7-man, and then watch it progress to 5-man with coaching, and then progress to 5-man with no coaching. And I think there's aspects of all of those different play styles that are real attributes that you can add to your whole match, your whole game. Like 7-man, you have to, all right, value my life. There's only 1 point here, so I can't go and try real crazy stuff. It may pay off, but statistically, is it going to pay off or not? With 5-man, when it was coaching, a lot of people I think don't like the coaching or didn't like the coaching. My perspective or my thoughts on it are, I think it's a really good training tool. We don't play like that now, but if we did it at practice, I think would be good for a lot of people. Having that someone standing right next to you, and I mean, how long did we play 5-man with coaching for, Scotty? Was it 3 years or something? Or it was a few years. So,
and then there was all the X-Ball, like the AXL was around before, and they had coaching and stuff. So there was a lot of it.
Yeah. So I mean, and that's where I think we came along at a good time, because we got to experience all of that. So to spend a couple of years having someone literally stand on the sideline next to you and be able to give you that outside perspective of what's happening at the time. So, all right, I might be in the snake, or I might be all the way down the Doritos, and I just feel like there's a big window open there, and you put your head up and bam, you're gone. But have someone there and be like, yeah, look, no, don't, no, or you might have your bunker might be getting pounded, but you might have been able to just crawl around. Where if you haven't had someone there, like we were able to for 3 or 4 years, giving you that external perspective, then it's like, oh look, my bunker's been pounded. I'm not going to make that move, when it's actually there the whole time. So even now, I think it'd be good for people to maybe go and do some practice matches, but literally have a sideline coach. Yep, you can do this, you can't do that. Obviously, both teams doing the same thing, but if we're practicing and we're learning, the whole point of it is to practice and learn and get better. So it doesn't really matter the outcome of the match. It's all right. Learn how to read the scenario. Learn how to read what's happening, and the best way to do that is to have someone standing there next to you with a third party perspective, telling you what's happening. And then, now going back to no coaching, I think that's given the guys from that era with us some sort of, some sense of an advantage, just in that experience.
Yeah, well, definitely. Like, I remember with the coaching, like that was the first time I sort of experienced like boredom in a game. I remember like Tress coaching just saying, don't do anything. And I'm like, but I want to. Like normally if it was 7-man, this is when I'd be trying to make it happen. I'd try to make a move, but they're like, no, your team's winning, just chill. And then as soon as the guns stop like hitting your bunker, it's like, all right, now you can play. And then you go and shoot the last guy or whatever. But it was like, I just want a point. And I literally dove into the snake, crawled around 2 bunkers, sat there for 3 minutes, and then we won. It's like, okay, that was like I would never have done that in 7-man. I would have always been trying to make a move happen, to make
and that, like, coming back to the whole like team aspect of it and having everyone on the same page. Sometimes we're given those jobs. Sometimes it's like you're given a job that might be boring like that, but you need to be able to just, your team is trusting you. You've been given a job. Do your job. What is it? Davey Williams from, what was that movie with Davey Williams in it? Heroes for a Day.
Oh yeah,
do your job.
Excessive Story.
Nothing more. Yeah. Excessive Story. Yeah. Do your job. Nothing more. Nothing less. Just do your job. And if everyone does that, then the team achieves its outcome. And if you're the better team on the day, I mean, if both teams are doing that, it's going to come down to the team with the better gun skills, or that's able to read the field better. But at least you've done that as a team, and it's not then going into the pits and being like, oh, well, you did this and you did that, and fuck no, we made this choice together that, all right, we're going to send someone here, and we knew that was a risk, or we're going to send someone there and try and lock off this side of the field. But hey, you know what? They read it. They read it better for us. They read us. Like we didn't lose it. They beat us. Like bravo to them. Yeah. It's true. But yeah, like it always comes down. That's what I really like. You know, with it's been good. You know, from Ben's interview now to yours, like we've sort of reiterated a few points, but it's sort of, I guess it's shown importance of what they are. Like, yeah, if your teams, and I think this is like a big learning, you know, if anyone's out there and they're in the lower divisions, in the semi-pro teams, like this is where it's hard then, because in the pro division, it's generally people are there because they obviously want to win and they're there for a reason. But in the semi-pro division, you know, there's still people that just want to have a bit of fun, and they're still just like, oh, I just want to, you know, play a couple times a year and that kind of thing. So it's 100%.
And you can get it can be when you start winning and when you start going well at an event, and that can be like the thing that can make it fall apart, is that you go, well, hang on, this guy these couple of people just, you know, they don't really care that much, and yeah, it really comes down to that, sitting down and all being on the same page. Yeah, I think it's a massive, something that I think everyone should take away from this. It's I guess it's one of those things, like it was hard for me to know that that's what we were doing at the time. Like, I was pretty young and all that kind of stuff, but like now looking back on it, that's what we were doing all the time, and we were all on the same page.
What are you, a whippersnapper?
Yeah.
100%.
So well, something I want to ask you, like while you're here, like how has it felt, you know, all these years, being able to share the field and share like all these wins and ups and downs with your brother? It must be a pretty special thing to share with, like with a family member. Not everyone gets to do that. It definitely is. And I mean, I can't really. He's my only brother. I've got two older sisters, but I think as well, being twins is that bit tighter knit, that tighter knit bond. So being able to do this together, it's definitely been a fun experience, and you know, hopefully it continues to be a fun experience that we can keep playing. We're 40, we'll be 41 this year. So there's a lot younger guys coming up now, and like Gaddy's dad is literally younger than I am.
So yeah, there's a lot of guys coming up, but I think we've still got a few years in us that we can continue. And yeah, I couldn't ask for someone better to do it with. And I mean, aside to that, we've got a whole bunch of other blokes now that are like brothers with us. So that we've shared a lot of experience and journeys and fun and travel and all these great experiences with. So it's definitely good having my twin brother, but we've also got these other brothers now too.
Yeah, it's cool. And like, I know you guys have that core four that sort of you've gone from teams to teams, and you're now finding yourself on Crisis. Is that like you guys are all still sticking together? Is that sort of the plan? Like, will we ever see Envious back? I asked Ben the same question, but
yeah. Well, I mean, the only reason Envious is not back at this stage, I mean, obviously we played last year with the Raw guys. We're playing this year with the Crisis guys, and we love playing with all those guys. It's last year with Raw, it was an awesome experience. We were able to come away with a win and be able to share those experiences and that sort of victory with those guys. And I wouldn't want to change that or take that away. And same with the Crisis guys. I think this year's looking like a wash. I don't think we're going to be playing round 3 from the rumour mill. So I think we're not going to get the opportunity this year for anyone to sort of effectively take out a proper season title. But if that opportunity is there, then we'll be there with them. We would love to jump back in as Envious, but there's currently not really a way for a team like ours to come back in. When the door opens up, there's the teams from the semi-pro that are sort of given first bite at the cherry. So yeah, there's not really a mechanism currently in the Super Sevens for a pro level team to come into the pro level, even though we have played and won several series in it. So we're playing with the other teams at the moment. Not to say that if opportunity doesn't present itself, maybe next year with all the COVID stuff having happened, if there's a lot of people's lives, I think, are going to change, and we, I hope not the situation, but we might find that there's less teams being able to play, and a spot will open back up for us.
Yeah, well, it'll definitely be cool to see. It's it was while you're here, like we're starting to run a little bit low on time, but what was like with the Envious, like what sort of happened towards the end? What was like the why did the team sort of stop?
So we won 2 series, and then in the third year, that's when Super Sevens went to a 3-day event. And from memory, it happened partway through the season, which we just weren't able to logistically make that happen at that point. So there's a few guys on the team or that were on the team at that stage. So Nathan Macca, he was up in Queensland and he runs a business with his dad. I run my own business. Ben's Jared, he runs a business with his dad, and just through situations like that, we weren't able to, on the short notice, be able to put a squad together for a 3-day event. So that ruled us out from that season, and then the opportunity came up with the NXL to be able to go for a shot at playing in the States. So that's when we took the year. I think that's when we took the year to step across to the NXL series. We'd already achieved a lot through Super Sevens, and we'd we'd supported Super Sevens for a very long time, and most of the guys I think ended up at some point through that year still going and playing with other teams and supporting Super Sevens. So, but we made the decision as a team. Let's focus on NXL and trying to take out the NXL series for the year, and that would win us the season prize, which was to go and have a full flights and tournament paid in the States, which we were lucky enough we were able to pull it off. And we went to went and played World Cup last year over in the States.
Yeah, that was so cool. Like it's a dream of many paintballers, and I've it's always been one of mine. So yeah, you guys are living the paintball dream. So it's cool to watch.
And that was, I mean, when we go all the way back, I think you might have been at one of those sit downs with Ian Tressida way back in our very first year, or my very first year of playing. I think you'd already been playing for a couple of years, but I sat down and it's like, okay, what does everyone want to achieve? What does everyone want to get out of this? And yeah, that was on the list. Not just for myself, but like you said, you wanted to do that. There's lots of players. I think it's one of those big things on everyone's bucket list. If you can go and play abroad, and particularly go and play a World Cup over in the States, but that's something to do. So when the opportunity came up, yeah, let's go and give this a good crack. And like I said, yeah, we were blessed enough to be able to take it out and live that dream and tick it off the bucket list.
Yeah, it's so cool. And like, how did you find the playing experience over there? Was it a higher level?
The playing experience, the field experience was good. We were unprepared for the conditions, I think, is probably the best way to say it. So coming back to what we said before about having the sort of the core players to take, is we all wanted as much field time as possible. So we basically took 5 guys. Kai Harris, he was going to be across there. Who's going to be across there for his role. And he was good enough to jump on the team with us and play the event with us as well. But we essentially had the like a core five players with Ethan Kleiber jumping on, and 30 plus degrees with 90% humidity. We didn't expect it. I mean, we've done lots of play in Asia, but the conditions were. We were unprepared.
Yeah.
Yeah. We would run up, a couple of points on teams, and then we just ran out of gas, and they would reel us in, overtake us, and we were either coming away with draws or they would beat us by a point. So I think if we went again, we would take the 7 guys with the understanding of, it does mean less field time, but again, like, what do we want as a team? It means that we're going to go further. We're going to go further, and we're going to have a greater probability of coming away with the victory.
Yeah, awesome. Well, it'll be good to see. If you guys ever go there, I'm sure there'll be plenty of people putting their hand up to jump on.
We'll give you the call out, Scotty.
Yeah, I'll be keen as.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So before we wrap things up, is there any sponsors or anyone you wanted to give a shout out to?
So Gladiator Air, we're currently Gladiator Air guys look after us, so both with Envious and with the Crisis team. So thank you very much to Gladiator Air for their support over the years. Jared is sponsored. He's got his sponsorship with Dye. So yeah, also thank you to Dye for their sponsorship. And the Crisis team is sponsored by Lux. They provide the guns. So thank you very much to Lux and to the HK Army guys for all our soft gear. It's really good stuff. It's really good gear. I'd be using it, or have been using it, regardless of the sponsorship. So get onto that gear.
Yeah, no, it's always they make good stuff. It's like that by the players for the players sort of gear. HK, I like it, and yeah, I'm a bit jealous. Lux is I'm like a bit of a softie for Lux, so they're good guys.
Yeah, nice.
So yeah, was there someone that you would recommend to be on the show?
Yeah, so there's 3 guys that I'll suggest.
Yeah, go for it.
If you do get the opportunity, it was Jared Grazier from Envious. He's a really quiet spoken guy, but I think his insight into the game and how it's played and all would be very useful for players. Adam Connolly from the old school style of play. He came across here from the US and Canada, and just I think he changed the way people played. It was just before we started. We came along at a very good time, and so we got to learn and start playing with good form and all that stuff that came through from him. And if you're after a new player, I think Broderick Ward. I'd like to hear where he's going. I see a lot of similarities between him and Ben and myself when we were progressing through. He's a hungry kid.
Yeah, that was that training session I mentioned earlier. I got to actually spend a bit of time with him, and yeah, he impressed me. So if that means much these days, but he's a good young kid, and just like the like you say, the hunger, like the things he's changed in his life to fit paintball, and it's crazy. Like he was traveling hours to come to practice every weekend and stuff. Yeah, it's just crazy.
Yep. Well, I think I think at the moment he's in that phase of living and breathing paintball. He's there every weekend, and that's the sort of thing that we were like. I think in our first year we missed one week out of 52. Some weeks it'll be Saturday and Sunday, and from what I can see from the outside, I haven't really had much to say or talk or do with him, but from the outside, I see a lot of parallels there.
Yeah. Well, I even remember it was Ben saying, like, it was like the day after when his son Patrick was born, he was out there playing.
Yep. Ben changed the date of his wedding to play a tournament. Yeah, and the day after his firstborn son, or his first child was born, he was out there for the team and on the field.
Yeah.
So, it's good to see that hunger in some of these new kids coming up.
Yeah. No, I think back, the things that you did back then, and you're just like, nowadays I'm like, no way. It's raining. No, I'll stay in bed.
Yeah. Sometimes it's my I don't have a good knee. I don't have a left and a right knee anymore. It's my good knee and my bad knee, and I think I'll stay at home on some days now.
Yeah. Well, that's you played the Doritos and I played the snake. I've got no shoulders, you got no knees. That was
that's it.
I think Pete was that Pete Ustage, like from the Iron Men, said that, like you play the snake, you pop your shoulder, so they put you on Doritos, you blow a knee.
Blow a knee. Yep.
Yeah.
That's where we just got to rely on old age experience and treachery now. When these young kids are too quick for us, we just got to know where to put the paintballs, because we can't outrun them. We just got to know where to put it.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. Well, thanks a lot, Carl, for joining us, and it was good. Like we covered some really good topics. Like you and Ben have put a masterclass on. I think we didn't get as specific about like times, but the things that you guys brought up. Like I wish I was out there training now, because I'd have plenty of things to be putting to work on Sunday. So thanks for giving us an insight into what makes you tick and how you guys analyze the game. It's been great.
Awesome. Cheers, mate. Thanks for the opportunity, Scotty.
No worries at all, and hopefully we can see you out there crushing people on the field shortly.
in my Zimmer frame, mate. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Catch you later, buddy.
All right. I'll talk to you soon. That's a wrap on another episode of Down Under Paintball. Massive thank you once again to Carl Simpson for taking the time, sitting down and having a chat. So I hope everybody enjoyed that episode as much as I did. Always good to catch up with those boys. As I said last week, I got to spend a lot of time on the field with those guys, perfecting the craft before they moved on and started beating up on me. I know I wanted to give them their own episode because twins do always get roped into everything together. It is hard to separate them though, they've done so much together. So whenever you talk about them, you generally have to speak about both of them. Yeah, while I've got the air, just want to say, yeah, Simpson twins were a huge influence on me and massive on my life. Without meeting the Simpsons, I wouldn't have met my wife, who I met after going to Carl and Gloria's engagement party. They also introduced me to who would be my future boss, and he then taught me everything I need to know in carpentry to push me on to running my own business. I also want to thank them massively because I was pretty young when I first met them, and they're a bit older, set me in my ways about how to be a better person in life and sort of screw my head on a bit. So huge thank you to those guys. Without them, I wouldn't be the person I am today. And like Gaddy said in his episode, if you want to go back and check that one out, episode 15, he's saying that these guys have helped him out quite a bit as well. They just seem to have a good influence and a good outlook on the sport and on life. So if you ever get a chance to get around them and have a chat, make sure you do that. They don't look like they're going to stop at all. So I'm excited about that, to see what the future holds for these guys and the legacy that they're going to leave behind in the sport. So thank you everyone for joining me on this episode of Down Under Paintball, and we'll see you next week.